Yeah, we'll never know unless I ask Craig's creators, really. But Paul, it is my understanding that you have an intimate relationship with Mr. Steve Reich. Can you please explain to us how this relationship began?
What have you heard?
I heard that you got to know him real close, like.
What are you implying?
I think what I'm getting at is something about guitars and plucking strings.
Oh yeah, so I did spend some time in college performing some of his music.
Oh
Um,
yeah, okay, that
I
falls in line with what I've heard.
right, but by that logic, I'd also have an intimate relationship with Plain White Tees after teaching music in the early 20 aughts.
And who wouldn't really after that song introduced lots of hell amongst the populace. But yeah,
Fair
so
enough. So Steve Reich is this amazing modern composer. He first became active, I think, in the 60s, and he was making music that was prolific as, currently still, but as far as the stuff he's really known for, even well into the mid 90s, late 90s.
yeah, he's
And
a
so,
big fucking deal. Like I had no idea how big of a deal he was. People revere him very, very highly.
you've heard me talk about this notion of sort of a lot of the what we call modern composers in that way are it's like music for eggheads. It's
Yes.
unpleasant to sit through. It's too mathematical.
Yep.
A lot of the stuff that's levied against it. Steve Reich manages to maintain complete musicality, puts my brain in a joyful place. He accomplishes all this, even though he uses the same kind of techniques that you associate with that stuff. He'll
Right.
use the same droning notes or like, quick repetition, syncopation, 14 different parts for the same instrument where the emphasis kind of comes in different parts of the phrase. And then he'll do like strange time signatures that change every few bars. And I don't know. It's wild. He's the best.
Yeah. And I think it's more of an accomplishment to me to create something that is both technically interesting but also pleasing to listen to. And I say this particularly because I recently found out about another more modern or more recent composer named Eric Hall, who took it upon himself to learn how to play Steve Reich's music for 18 musicians, which, as you can guess, is written for 18 musicians. He learned how to play it, recorded every single part, building one on top of the other in a fascinating recording process, and just created this really beautiful, entirely electronic rendition of this piece. And I fell in love with it. Like I now know that like, oh shit, like I should check out more of Steve Reich's stuff. And I think it's an interesting talking point going forward into like how modern composers and modern artists can make things that were created 10 20 30 years ago and make them relevant for audiences today, especially one like this piece that is really enjoyable to listen to. Like I don't know how you would describe it a bit like easily. I mean, it feels kind of cinematic. It feels almost like a movie soundtrack in a lot of ways. It feels ambient. It feels, very like new age, kind of relaxing. But it's very, you um, it's very powerful too. Like it feels very emotive. So
It just washes over you the way certain pieces are. And he dips his toe in a lot of different lanes without sounding too, new agey without sounding too hippy dippy,
right,
mathy without sounding too convoluted.
yeah,
It's just awesome.
yeah, absolutely. I could not recommend it enough. So please, please, please check out Eric Hall's rendition of Music for 18 Musicians. If you've never heard of Steve Reich or Eric Hall or ambient, experimental, modern classical music, definitely give that a shot and kind of hopefully that's a gateway drug. But yeah, this is Bliss Point. If you weren't aware, it is Wednesday, June 3rd, season 3, episode 8. We're a musical. We're a musical show. We only do reviews of Hamilton. We're a music
Ugh.
curation and conversations podcast serving up music discussion, news show and album reviews, and more. Check us out at bliss.house. That is bliss.haus. Please, please, please check out the playlist that we have that goes along with this episode. It'll have all the singles that we talked about and the ones we didn't, and a couple other fun tracks in there. And let's jump into singles. And these are the best singles we've heard in the last week, and we've chosen to highlight them here. And my track this week is by Preservation, who is a hip hop producer mainly, and Navy Blue, who is a up and coming kind of lo-fi underground hip hop artist. And these guys kind of melding together creates this just really cool off kilter jazzy hip hop song. Navy Blue kind of reminds me of Nas, so if you're into Nas, I recommend you check this out. It's just a really great piece of new underground hip hop music, and I could not be more stoked to hear the full length. I believe Preservation has his own album coming out next week, which I'm assuming the song appears on. The song is called North Bridge, and it is very good. And,
if you say so.
It is enjoyable.
Billy, are you anti underground hip hop? Are you?
I mean, I'm just like anti garbage quality.
Ooh. Whoa there.
That is
Slow that horse down. Whoa.
That's a heavy hand. Holy
I'm not saying it's not, like, if it was produced well, it would maybe catch my attention, but the quality is like worse than like SoundCloud rap quality.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Like
Billy's
I don't
just
know.
in it for the man, you know? He's just
I mean, I can appreciate lo-fi, but this is like, it just doesn't sound like they know what they're doing.
Oh my god.
Billy had a family member lose a job to someone with a face tattoo. And ever since then, he's been anti-SoundCloud rappers.
I was going to use a mean transition, but it doesn't fit here. So, Billy, just tell us about your fucking song.
Should teach them SoundCloud rappers to use a mean transition. What's up?
Well, I mean, I'll be a little mean here, but so my single is Kowloon. He released a song called Paradise. And just a quick history lesson, Kowloon, which means 9 dragons, was once a walled city in Hong Kong, and it was known as the most densely populated area in the world. It was overrun by like organized crime and known for like its terrible living conditions.
Yeah, looking at pictures of that city is fucking rad.
Yeah.
There's a fictional movie about it as well. And I'm sure lots of real movies about it, but you catch my drift.
Yeah. So, why a white dude from LA chose this as his moniker, I have no idea. But nonetheless, it's a nice breezy jam that kind of reminds me of my favorite indie pop bands like Panama. If you can imagine, like Matt Berninger from The National, if he decided to do a laid back electronica album, you would have Kowloon. So if you're into that kind of stuff, enjoy.
Oh, so some guy with a beard doing an electronic album.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure I understood.
I think that's a good analog, Billy. I can see that.
I mean, at least it's decent quality.
I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far, but sure.
Some guy with a beard doing a TV pilot. Some guy with a beard scoring a movie for some reason. Some guy with a beard making electronica.
Hey, it's the modern days powdered wig, you know?
I'm gonna take this week out on Billy.
We all have beards, don't we? All 3 of us?
That's true. That is very true. Hey, we're a hotly targeted demographic nowadays.
Apparently.
All right, we're going to jump into shoutouts, and these are going to be the albums that we may have missed, may have just missed the cut for our albums of the week, or maybe we just haven't had a chance to get knee deep into. In mine is Retirement Party. Their new album, Runaway Dog, just came out. This was initially my album of the week, but I kept going back to what was originally my shoutout, so I kind of swapped them. And the reasoning is mainly because this album is really enjoyable. It is a well-produced, easygoing, fuzzy emo record, which is, kind of my meat and potatoes at this point. And I don't have anything bad to say about it. I just don't know that I'll keep coming back to it. I think it's just a fun record. I don't know. Billy, I know you're into this genre as well. I don't know if you gave it a shot.
Why did you switch? I would have, for once, finally been able to agree with you on an album of the week. Why? Why have you done this to me?
You can still agree with me on the shout out.
I will agree with you on the shout out.
Yeah.
It is. It's a great album. If you're into this kind of stuff, which I harp on all the time, it's really well done. It kind of reminds me. It's got a little blend of that new Diet Sig that we talked about a week or two ago.
Yep.
But a little bit kind of, I don't know, not as clean, but
Yes.
no, I really like this album.
Yeah, it's got some like shades of Avlov to it. It's like it's got that like real
You got my attention.
real lo-fi kind of mixing where the guitars are just super fucking loud, and everything else isn't. But in a good way. I think it's a solid record. I think, anybody would. It'd be hard to not like this record. It is just, pretty simple, pretty good.
Does it bring the fuzz with all the mid range?
Yes.
Good.
Good. Billy, speaking of enjoyable, do you want to tell us about your
about Gleemer?
big deal record over here?
Yeah, so I think we've probably talked about Gleemer a couple times, just as far as referencing them. They put out a single, I think we talked about a few weeks ago. So I was really looking forward to this album. I'm a big fan of them. Their new album, Down Through, kind of hones in on their sound, and they were rewarded with something that's consistent and melancholy. This album was produced by Will Yip. So basically, if you've ever listened to any music, you've probably listened to Will Yip.
Anybody fucking indie rock or like progressive rock, like
So his catalog ranges from like Lauryn Hill to The Fray to Panic at the Disco, Circa Survive, Code Orange. Like he's all over the place.
Shit.
But I was gonna say, in particular, if you've listened to Peripheral Vision by Turnover, you'll get very familiar feeling when you're listening to this album.
Holy shit.
Right?
That's weird deja vu I'm feeling right now. Holy That's crazy. Okay.
So there's just a ton of focus on like the guitars and these washed out vocals that still kind of cut through the mix just right. It shimmers enough to sound like shoegaze while staying true to their like emo roots. I think if there's anything I had to say about it, I wish there was like a little bit more variance in the tracking. It can get a little repetitive. It can get a little samey, but overall it was a super solid album.
Yeah, I cannot say anything else different about that record. Because you stole my turnover thunder. But that's really
did I?
Yeah, that's really fucking neat that it is. Sorry, I don't mean to say that I knew that already. What I was going to say is like it kind of reminds me of Turnover a lot, especially old Turnover.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, it. Hey, if you like that sound, you would really like this record a lot. All right, album of the week. These are the best albums we've heard all week. These should be easy locks for our album of the year. And mine recently switched places, like as of today, I think, because I can't stop listening to this record. It is very me. It is very weird. Paul, I'm so glad you liked it. And can you please tell me if I'm off on the, I don't know why, but it kind of is giving me shades of rockabilly. Is that weird to say?
I don't think so. I mean, what's weird to me is, well, it's aptly named. I like the wailing.
Yes.
It feels very much like guys who grew up listening to metal, but also grew up in '90s, like Pearl Jam era.
Yeah.
It doesn't get yowly or anything. It's just I am always gonna be on board for slow chugging riffs with essentially like operatic choruses in the background.
Yeah, and this record, Wailing Storms, the album is called Rattle. It is a very interesting mix of like old school rock and roll with like some country tinge, like newer post punk. Like Paul was getting at, it's got wailing vocals. The guitars are fuzzy and kind of sludgy. Like it was described to me as sludge metal, which isn't entirely accurate because I feel like it's a little more. It's a little lighter on the ears than a metal is, but
yeah, man, because sludge metal is garbage, and this sounds good.
That's fair. But it kind of reminds me of Arctic Monkeys in a lot of ways. Obviously the vocals aren't as like clean or tuned up, but it is.
So you feel like they probably sound like they have offshore accounts and don't pay taxes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'm really glad you like this record. I'm a huge fan of it. If you're into weird rock music, definitely give this a shot. It is out there, but it's fucking lovely. I love it.
It's pretty simple. If you're into Jack White, listen to it. That's literally it. It's just a Jack White wannabe.
Let's take it easy with the literally.
Reductive motherfucker. Let's what, Billy? Let's talk about your reductive album. God damn it.
No. You can keep going. We can keep talking about Wailin Storms.
Or Waylon Jennings or whatever his name is.
In here that he agreed to before, because I don't see. Man, Wailin Storms is the shit, brother.
Yeah, it is. All right, Billy, do you want to give us a lowdown on Choir Boy?
Yeah, sure. Choir Boy put out their second album. It's called Gathering Swans. Despite being alive for like 5 months in the 80s, I can't seem to get away from this like attraction to that kind of style. And I don't know why, but it's true again. Just kind of imagine if the Smiths went like goth pop, and you'll get this album. There's hints of like new wave and post-punk. There's a bunch of layered synths. Really just can't go wrong. Not to be overlooked by a lot of the electronic elements and the great production. This album really shows off like the true talent of the vocalist, Adam Klopp, and the bassist, Chaz Costello. The vocal hooks and the driving bass lines are really what keep this album moving forward. And for a kid, Adam Klopp, that grew up being mocked and called Choir Boy by other punk bands in the Ohio scene for his like angelic voice and religious upbringing, he's reclaimed that title, putting out another great album.
I really liked the production, actually.
Production's super cool.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job. I have to say this because you've been so mean to me. I think they're like a bad Tears for Fears, but I will say I do really like the production. I think instrumentally it's really cool. I was really on board with this album and willing to get used to or start to enjoy the vocals until I heard Sweet Candy, and then I immediately turned the record off.
So yeah, that's the one like oddball off the album.
So it feels so different, and I don't like I honestly wouldn't have disliked it as much if those weird low vocals didn't come in the chorus and like do the weird like sweet candy like repeat. It's just fucking terrible. Yeah. I don't know why.
I will give you that. It's a weird choice, and it was actually one of their singles that they released. So
really,
yeah, but it doesn't quite fit in.
It's strange, but I have something here that might actually be able to shed some light on why Billy loves the 80s so much. Hold on a sec. Yep, it's the result of Billy's antibody test. Hold on a sec. It says here that you're incredibly basic. So that gets to the bottom of that.
I mean, you're not wrong about that. I am a very basic human being.
I mean, why they sent it to me, it's incredible. That's sloppy work. It's very personal information.
You know what? I'm impressed that I actually got that far in this album, because I think 2 years ago I probably wouldn't have even given this a shot. So,
well, I would honestly say keep going, because there's a couple of good songs after that.
Okay. You know what? I'll do you a favor and I'll listen to the whole thing and let you know.
Okay, I appreciate that. I wish I could return the favor, but I just can't with Wailin Storms.
Maybe I'll feel generous and let this slide onto Album of the Year at the end of the year. Who knows?
You won't, because The Midnight's going to come out, and you're only going to give me one 80s vibe album.
Well, it's...
Yeah, Billy, you control the entire bracket. You're so oppressed.
I don't think we can keep putting The Midnight on this list every year in good faith.
We didn't put them on last year's.
Did they not? Oh, that's right. They didn't put out a record last year, right?
No, they did, and I said we didn't have to put it on because it wasn't Album of the Year quality.
I love that he says we didn't have to put it on. Like there's some decree that says one Midnight album belongs on the Album of the Year list every year.
I mean, I'm surprised our tag is music curation and conversation, because it should just be let's talk about The Midnight.
Let's talk about. You know what? You should create a separate podcast called Bandana Guy, talks about his love for the night. I don't know. You have to think of a better name than that, but
I think that's all I need.
if you're curious about the singles and albums we talked about today and the ones we didn't, there will be a playlist up on the site containing all the singles and the best tracks from this week's albums. That site is bliss.house, bliss.house. Please check out that playlist. Billy, we forgot to mention the cool other songs that are on that playlist. Did you want to?
Oh man, yes. Definitely check out the playlist because some of our favorites like Covet, State Faults, they put out some new singles that were super good. Just didn't want to talk about them because we've talked about them quite a bit before, but they're fan favorites of ours, so definitely check those out.
Yes, absolutely. Check us out on all the places podcasts are listened to, like us, subscribe, follow, etc. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I love you all, and thanks for showing up, guys. I forgot to plug the website one more time just in case the people forgot. Bliss.house, bliss.house. And again, thank you both for showing up in this quarantine time.
Thank you for updating a website. It looks super slick.
Yeah, website is clean.
Hey, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. I spent some time working on it, so it feels good. It feels good to have it.
Looks super good.
Thank you. And see y'all next time, losers.